want to move on to Chelsea, actually. Optimism is the reported phrase at the moment regarding the Caicedo deal. There is industry insiders believe the deal is going to get done for about 80 million. A fairly credible source says that a bid of 65 million was rejected in the last couple of days, and that Caicedo is becoming increasingly frustrated at the situation. Are you frustrated about this, Don? As a Chelsea fan now, is it just a case of pay the money, get it done, or do you think this is more Brighton playing silly buggers?
Listen, me, ideally, I would have wanted Caicedo to come on the trip with us to the USA. And ironically, we're actually playing Brighton like in pre-season. So I don't know whether it's going to be a Chelsea player at that point. It's getting to the point now where it's like, come on, I just want it done. Do you know what I mean? I said 2 weeks ago, I reckon it's quite close because what came out is that we want it done before we actually go on tour to America. But I don't know whether it's Brighton, dragging their heels because of the whole Colwill situation. I don't know if we're dragging our heels a little bit because of the sales. I don't know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? But as it stands, it's taken a little bit too long. I do think it's going to get done, but ideally, I wanted it to get done before we actually go in pre-season. I want Caicedo to come into the team, start training and actually implementing the style of play that we're going to be playing. Start come the season, come the start of the season. So for me, in terms of preparation for the season, ideally, I wanted him to come before we travel. But if he has to miss a game or two, it is where it is. At least we're going to get it done. But for me, yeah, it's taken a little bit too long. I would have thought it would have been done by now. But again, it's a positive update that we're up in the money. That sounds like hopefully it should be accepted because we've been going back and forth now for over a month now. So I'm just hoping it will get done within the next week. I'm hoping for a good update this week coming.
Yeah, when do you? I mean, also just been announced just now that Wesley Fofana has not travelled with Chelsea to the USA. He's got another injury, to his knee. So Wesley Fofana out, and I suppose with Chelsea, the talk's all good. There's actually a report from Ben Jacobs today that Pochettino has impressed everyone by his demeanour and open door policy. They've been working harder. The fitness levels are higher. We typically hear this about every new manager that comes in. And sometimes you look at Eddie Howe at Newcastle, you look at Ten Hag at Man United, you see a difference. Is there a sense amongst Chelsea fans that you're on the road already to have a significantly improved season? Or is there still a lot of skepticism because, yes, you've sold a lot of the dead wood and got rid of players that wanted to leave, but you really haven't, with pre-season a week in, the tour starting, no new signings, is that every week, is it just becoming more and more of a concern for Chelsea fans?
Yeah, I think for me, I've got PTSD because obviously last season we went to America and we just weren't prepared. Do you know what I mean? We got smoked 4-0 by Arsenal. We just weren't prepared. When you looked at us and the fact that we were traveling state to state, that's when obviously Todd Bowley came in. You could see the lack of preparation, and he actually went into the season as well. So Chelsea fans, what I'm seeing online and just from a few people I'm speaking to, we are a bit annoyed that there hasn't been incomings in time for pre-season because again, we've still got quite a lot of PTSD of how bad pre-season was last year. But we just have to see what happens this week. It's another week of business, so we just have to hope that something will happen. And even if these new signings have got to join us in America a little bit later on, it is where it is. Koulibaly did the same thing last season. Like we signed him when he was already in America, and he linked up with the rest of the boys. And whoever we're signing, they're still going to be training with their teammates right now, keeping fit. Obviously, they won't be playing with their new teammates, but it will still be good for them to be keeping physically fit. You know what I mean, with their old team. So right now, yeah, it's a bit annoying. But we just have to be patient. There's not much we can do. We just have to wait. As annoying as it is, but we definitely have PTSD because last season it wasn't good for us. Pre-season was terrible. It was abysmal, in fact. A lot of players have come out and said how bad pre-season was last year as well. But one thing I'll say with Poch, he's coming already. Aubameyang, he's coming back to training on Tuesday. He's been told that he's not traveling to America. You've got separate groups now. You've got Hudson-Odoi. He's training with a different group, which is something that Graham Potter wasn't doing. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't separating the groups to make sure that you understand that you're part of the team and you understand that you're not. Now Poch has come in and made it very clear who's part of the plans, and that if you're not coming on tour, we're looking to get rid of you. So I've seen a few links with Aubameyang to Marseille. Hopefully, he gets that move, but it looks like the wages are going to be a problem because we pay him 160k a week. which is a bit of a madness, to be fair. But yeah, Poch it's looking good, and a few things that are coming out. It sounds like the players have been working a lot harder than what they did the whole of last season. Everyone knows Poch is all about fitness, high intensity. So yeah, I mean, when I'm watching the videos and I'm watching the clips and I'm seeing them in the gym and stuff, we look more serious now. Do you know what I mean? Things aren't looking like a joke anymore. We're not looking like a youth club anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what it is, man. It's good. It's good. It's looking good, but incomings need to start coming in now.
What are you saying, Pete? I see a few some facial expressions during that, bro.
No, because I can understand that a lot of that. You're talking about your preseason last year and how unprepared you were. We've had many years of that in Newcastle, so I know what that's all about. But look, for me personally, I think you've got a quality manager in Poch. I think he's gonna get it right. For me, I think last time I was on here, I mentioned the same thing. Is that with Chelsea, you've just got to be prepared that next season you might just not necessarily blow up. Like, you may well have a title tilt, you may well push for top 4, but you may well also be fighting for like Europa Conference, and it's about Chelsea fans having patience with that, because I think the next season after that, I think you'll be in the serious conversation, because they've had a year to work with the players that are currently there. The system's in place. They'll know what he wants. They'll know what he expects. They'll know how to play it. And then it will just be fitting players that fit to that system. It's all part of a process. And I just think, with Chelsea, from an outsider's point of view, it'd be interesting to see actually how they kind of, how they get on this season. I think a lot of teams will be watching them. They spent a lot of money, but they've now got a manager that knows how to put a team together. He did it at Tottenham. Didn't quite win a trophy, but he put a team together that was exciting to watch, that high intensity, high press, like you talked about. So yeah, I think you've got all the right kind of things there. It just needs to come together. But
we've still got holes to plug. Do you know what I mean? We need to bring in Caicedo. Even after him, Cherky is someone that we're looking at. We spoke about him on the last show, Terry. He's a good addition if we bring him in. Potentially might be bringing in a striker as well. If we don't get Osimhen, for me, it has to be Tony if we don't bring in Osimhen, But
you signed that Brazilian guy,
right? Which one? There's quite a few.
Yeah, he stole them all off us, man.
Oh yeah, we signed.
We were after first.
Oh, is it Gabriel? His name's Gabriel.
Gabriel
Santos. Yeah. We signed him. He's gonna come to America, but he's most likely going to get loaned to Strasbourg, so the club that we just bought.
650 million hosts to still plug. Is that what you said, Don?
Listen, it's a whole rebuild. You need to spend. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You guys have spent what, 700 million under Arteta?
650 million and host to plug.
Yeah, there's still a few more things to do. Do you know what I mean? We've brought in over 200 million already in sales. We sold someone else. We sold someone else today. We sold Ethan Ampadu. He's going to Leeds on a permanent basis.
I can't believe he's still there.
He's still a bounce.
Yeah.
I believe it. I thought he left. I honestly thought he left about 10 years ago.
No, do you know what? I feel sorry for him, because he got brought in as a 15-year-old from Exeter. He was playing first team football, but again, under Roman, he was mismanaged a bit. Do you know what I mean? He made a few appearances. I think he made 7 appearances in the first team. But it just hasn't been great for him. So hopefully he does well at Leeds. Because he hasn't been managed well at Chelsea, to be fair. But that's another person out of the door. So we've got a lot of money.
Just real quick though, I look at your midfield and I just think it's so bare bones. So bare bones at the minute. Like I might have forgotten someone, but I know you've got Enzo Fernandez still at the club and you've got Conor Gallagher still at the club. And I can't think of anyone else after that.
You've got Santos, you've got Caicedo. He's probably going to go on loan. You've got Carney. Carney's Caicedo. Do you know Caicedo?
So 3 kids. So you got Gallagher, who's crap, Fernandez, and 3 kids.
Gallagher, actually. Tom, Gallagher's probably going to get replaced by Caicedo if that ends up happening, though. You have to keep that in mind.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Your midfield is still way too bare bones, then.
It is. You're right. It's right now. If you break it down, I think the midfield going into the season is probably going to be Caicedo and Enzo as a double pivot. Then you're going to have Nkunku in the 10, most likely. Potentially, you might even play up front if we're bringing a Cherky. Then Cherky might play in that hole in behind. And then you're going to have probably Carney on the bench. Gallagher up in the air. He might get sold. But we're still apparently looking at Lavia. We're still interested. We're still looking at that. You never know. You got Andre Santos, like I said. A lot of the players on the bench are quite young. So we've got Andre Santos, you've got Carney, Caicedo, like I said, he's probably going to go out on loan. Apparently Leicester won him. He was really good. He got player of the tournament for the under-20s World Cup. So yeah, he looks really good. But I think he's going to get sent out. So you're not wrong, Tom, in terms of like looking at our midfields. There's not a lot of experience in there. Obviously, we've had to get rid of pretty much everyone. But again, we might even bring in another 2 midfielders after we bring in Caicedo.
I just don't think you can move off from your midfield after Caicedo. I don't think you can go and address your striker until you've sorted this midfield, because Enzo and Caicedo was good. Having nothing behind them but kids is a recipe for disaster for all parties, because you're playing with fire in terms of injuries. You're playing with fire in terms of fitness. What if Enzo Fernandez goes down? Because we know other midfielders are rough against him because he's good. If he goes down with a 2-month injury and it's on Carney Chukwuemeka to go in a pivot alongside Caicedo for 2 months, you're in real trouble. You cannot leave this midfield alone. You have too many holes to plug in one window. You have to go and solve the massive gaping hole in the wall that has been left because you've removed all the bricks before you go and put the window in.
But don't forget, Tom, we've only got 1 game a week. Do you know what I mean? We've only got 1 game a week. There's no point in stockpiling all these midfielders. And then what was the point of bringing in the Santos? Do you know what I mean? We've got to see how everyone does in pre-season, because Santos, he's a player. He's
acclimatized to the Premier League, but he is quite
exactly
and
that. So he's one that we're looking at. Poch apparently might give him a chance depending on how he does in pre-season. So I think we can only judge our midfield at the end of the window. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure they've got quite a lot of players. Like I said, Cherky can play down the middle and he can play on the right as well. So we can only look at our midfield at the end of the window.
I think what's interesting with Chelsea, pre-season isn't the ultimate barometer for clubs, but I think when you're in a situation like Chelsea where you have your worst season in 30 odd years, how you perform in pre-season, I think it will be a fairly big indicator. And if you guys are looking raggedy like you were last year, easy to play through, because you will have that, it's a confidence factor. If you start the season with a lack of confidence, it could be hard for these young players to pick it up. So I'm very intrigued to look at how Chelsea play. There's some breaking news that's come.